is in ag chemicals, corn and soybean production, and I retired from that in 1999, and full-time Christmas tree farmer ever since.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm not as young as I used to be. I'm 75.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
At any rate. This is used to plant plugs, or a seedling that's grown in styrofoam blocks with a hole, and the soil is this shape, and that's the root ball. And pull them out of the styrofoam, make the hole, put it in the hole, close it up a little tighter, and that's for planting plugs. This one is just a bar. We use this primarily to plant, unless the trees are bigger, make a slit in the ground, open it up, put the seedling in, and then tighten it back up on both sides. And that's making the hole is important, but getting it nice and tight on the roots that's the most important thing. And we plant 5,000 or 6,000 trees a year. Most of them are planted with one of these.
So if you don't get the roots in the dirt tightly, what would happen to your seedlings?
They'll die.
They will die. Okay.
Yep. If there's airspace, plants need air to survive, obviously, but they don't need a lot of open airspace down there, and that's it. Dry weather, the slit will open up,
sure,
and then you got air going right down to the
okay.
roots. So that's, they will die.
Yeah.
Bigger trees, we auger a hole with this, and we go down about that far. I started with just a regular spiral auger and modified it and to loosen dirt, and this scrapes the outside of the hole as it goes down and makes it bigger, obviously, to get the roots down in a little easier, but it makes finer loose dirt. Even when the soil's pretty wet, we can still dig holes and have loose dirt to put back in after the tree's planted. Applying herbicide, and that's what this is for. You get the other things out of the way here. It's set up to band along each side of the row, and you can see the bare strip, and that's where it was sprayed in the spring.
Okay.
And there's one nozzle, one spray nozzle in here. Is protected so that I can spray when the wind's blowing, and not, I keep the herbicide where I want it.
It goes straight down.
Yeah, and it's because it's on the loader. I can adjust it. Height. The ground is not always that agreeable to, it's uneven in that.
Sure.
And fertilizer, I did not get out the fertilizer applicator. This stuff, you can't buy it. I built it and keep adding and changing it until I kind of get it so it works. Sometimes things don't work the way I want them to begin with. But the fertilizer spreader, I also band fertilizer on each side of the row, and we have 38 miles of tree row. So when I'm spraying, it's 76 miles because it's on each side of the row. When I fertilize, another 76 miles. Every time I mow, another 76 miles. So I've been to Chicago and back this year on a tractor.
How many times do you have to mow in between your tree rows?
It depends on the year. As dry as it's been this year, the grass and weeds have still been growing. But usually 6, maybe 7 times a year.
Okay.
Then after late in the season, I go through with the weed eater, go up and down the rows, and take out whatever's in the row that I can't get with more. And before we open up for folks to come get Christmas trees. Shearing, a variety of toys and tools. Homeowners are probably going to just want to use head shears. They work fine. People that raise Christmas trees use a knife like this. It's serrated, it's super sharp. It will cut legs just like it'll cut tree branches. I don't use it because I only got 2 legs. I don't have a reason to want to replace one of them. As you can tell, I have a knife, but it's not seen much use.
Pretty shiny.
Yep. Well, it's stainless steel. It'll stay shiny. I will show you quickly how people do it. They get in close to the tree. And just go around it like that and take off the things they want. I'm not very good at it, obviously. I'll show you how I do it and what I use. I have 2 different ones of these for working on the tops. The Scotch pine and white pine, I don't use this. I do it all with the gas-powered trimmer. I will show you. I've got a big one over here. I've been through all the firs and done the tops. That's the tops of all these. You can see the branches that have been nipped off. The leader's been shortened and that. I've already done that, but I've got one tall one over there. I'll show you if you want to move over there. Okay. On the firs, I go through and take off the first swirl of branches. If you're going to shorten the leader any, and don't cut the tips, at least the tips off of that first swirl, that branch will try and become the leader. And all of a sudden, if you don't do that, you're going to have 4 or 5 all contending to be the leader next year. Not this year, but next year. And the leader's going to be just a little bit long, so I'll do that. I've been through all the tops, and you can see that one I didn't shorten the leader because the leader was kind of not very straight. And they do tend to straighten out. That's when that new growth comes out. It's pretty limber, and you know they're going to be kind of lopping all over. But as the summer goes on, they tend to straighten up. The reason I didn't cut the top out of that one, I wanted it to straighten a little more. And if I cut it off, why that kind of it stops the natural ability for them to straighten on their own. So, okay, now I will show you. I will get set up here. Safety glasses, earplugs, and if you wonder why I wear the hat versus a cap. I don't like the branches down the back of my neck. So,
And they're sticky.
one hat. It's a gas-powered trimmer. This is what I use on pine. I use it on all the trees. The firs like these, I work on the tops first. The pines I don't bother. I can do it, you know, it's one time around the tree with this and it's done.
Okay.
But those are all sheared. Pines need to be sheared or shaped, whatever, if, you know, sometime middle of June to the middle of July. As soon as the new growth is fully extended, which is about the middle of June, then you need to have it done by the middle of July, and I'll show you some branches off of a pine in a little bit. But this trimmer's it's got 4 cutters on it, and they're razor sharp to give a nice clean cut. And if I make a mistake and hit a tree, it'll cut off a tree that big. So it's, you know, it will also cut fingers off.
Oh.
I think.
Yeah.
I've still got 10. We shear every tree, big, small. Every year we've got about 40,000 trees. And so last year I spent 272 hours shearing trees. This year it's probably going to be about the same. I'm not nearly done yet, but the tree shearing comes this time of year when it's not cool, and it's got to be done. The firs I can do, and spruce I can do anytime because they already have the buds where it's going to grow. Those little tiny buds that you saw, those will grow, put out growth next year. The pines and firs and blue spruce grow differently. Firs and blue spruce, all spruce, but homeowners are going to, you know, I'm sure there's going to be some folks have blue spruce in their yard, and they can shape those just, you know, like they would any arborvitae or yews or anything. There's the tip is where it's going to grow from next year. that's where it grew from this year. If we cut that off, there are tiny little buds already there. See those little buds?
Oh yeah. You want to see them?
Maybe.
What was this one?
Yep, they've all got them on. That particular branch is not unique.
Oh wow.
Branches here. This one hasn't had anything done to it. It's not been, the tip's not been cut off. You can see it's got some cones set on it. And next year, the buds will extend out from this branch just like they did from here. And those little bitty things are the cones next year, like this. So, this is a branch that's not had anything done to it. And you can see the buds are right on the tip. But on pines, they have latent buds at every needle axle. And if you cut it off, like it's been cut there this year, the tip like that has been removed and the latent buds are coming out. And you know, that's the reason they need to be sheared by the middle of July, so they have time to rebud before winter. And there'll be, you can see several there now, but there'll be probably twice that many by fall. And that's how we thicken up the pines, Scotch pine and white pine. We cut the tips off, and instead of, let's see, there's 3 buds on this little branch, and you can already see 6 or 8 on this. So instead of 3 branches of new growth next year, there's going to be 6 or 8. And so the tree gets much denser. And that's what we're selling, beauty. And that's what, and homeowners, if they want a nice dense tree in their backyard, go out there and do a little shearing.
I've had a couple calls this year, and I think I've had a deer playing with my fir tree with his antlers. What do I do?
Shoot the deer to begin with. Because the deer's probably going to be back.
Yeah.
Sure.
But to answer your question, depending upon how much damage, don't just go ahead and cut the tree out. Give it a chance to recover unless it's totally tore up and that. But they can be trimmed and sheared, and I make saleable Christmas trees out of deer damaged trees. Not every one, obviously, but that's, they can be made to look nice. It may take a couple of years or longer, but get rid of the deer and then you can fix the problem. Don't get rid of the deer, problem's going to reoccur.
Okay, good to know. So they have habits where they're going to come back, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's, it may not even be the same deer, but that's, they will be back. We have a nice, healthy deer population, and used to does would have 1 fawn. Now living is so good in Iowa, virtually all of them have twins now, and a lot of them have triplets.
Okay.
So 1 doe means at least 2 little ones, and those 2 little ones in another year are going to have some if they're does. So the population
Keeps increasing.
Yeah.
Yep.
on a family farm just south of Highway 92 in western Iowa. It was corn, soybeans, cattle, hogs. I wanted to plant walnut trees when I was in high school. My dad says, we raise corn and soybeans here, not trees. He didn't think it was a bad idea, it just wasn't a good idea for him. And so when we moved in Enola, we had the opportunity to buy an acreage. And then the Christmas trees were kind of an accident, really. We planted the walnut trees, and I planted a couple of rows of pine trees along the north side to break the wind, because we live up on top of the hill, and when it was open and no trees there, that winter wind did blow hard from the northwest. So when the trees got up about so big, several of our friends and neighbors thought they should cut a Christmas tree. And we decided at that point maybe there was need to raise Christmas trees. So we have expanded it significantly, and we've got 40,000 trees now.
And how many did you have then when they started wanting to buy?
Year, we've planted the first trees in the spring of 1977. We sold the first trees in 1983.
Okay.
We sold 8 trees. We sell a few more than that now.
Yeah.
I do have another question. We get a lot of calls about brown trees. And even with your
They're
expertise, okay. So like this one that's green on the bottom and
Yep.
brown on the top, will that one survive?
The bottom will. The top is dead. And you can see, like that one back there, right here on the end of the road, that is winter burn. That's the tree loses more moisture through transpiration, hot winds in cold weather, or like drying winds, and there's not too much you can do about it. I had more winter burn problems this past winter than I have in a long time. Concolor firs I didn't have a problem with any concolor firs this year with winter burn, but I have, and it's hurt them so much that they dropped almost every needle. They were pretty much bare until the new growth started to come out. I thought they were probably not going to make it. New growth came out, and they were pretty sparse because they didn't have 2 years of growth to look at, but they survived. These, this one doesn't have much. It'll get cut out before we open up. There's another one behind it. The bottom on that one's brown, the top's green. Another little one over there is totally dead. Those will all come out. One like this bigger one here, it's got some good green on it, but nobody's going to take that home for a Christmas tree. So I will cut it and make wreaths out of it.
Oh, okay.
And that's there's and we have trees die, for no particular reason. They die. That's part of it. The fir. Anytime you take a tree out of its normal range of habitat where it's native, you're adding stress to it, and it would have been growing there for eons. The only Christmas tree tree used for Christmas trees that's native to Iowa is the white pine in the far northeast corner, and up by Eldora at Pine Lake State Park. They are native, they're white pines. All the rest of them are native somewhere else, and altitude has a lot to do with it. If the firs grow naturally at 3,000 to 4,000 feet above sea level, and we're at 800. So we're taking it down, and they survive, but they succumb to a little inclementness a lot easier. That's Scotch pine are pretty tough, white pine are pretty tough. They still die once in a while, but they're a little closer in natural habitat to what we have.
So in a year like this, where it's been so dry, do you water any of them?
Mother Nature only.
Okay.
I do sheet Mother Nature. I use anti-transparent on the little trees. I spray anti-transparent. If we have a heavy rain, it does tend to take it off. But if we have heavy rain, I don't need it.
Right.
And I spray anti-transparent as soon as we get done planting. I spray all the new plants and also anything that tall, like 18 inches or smaller. That's usually about 3 years to the planting year and a couple more. But the little trees, I go through and spray them with anti-transparent. And I just finished putting on another application on Friday because I was hoping we'd get some rain on Saturday. There's maybe a little chance. I decide, well, I'll go ahead and put it on. If we get lucky and get rain, best investment I've ever made. And it's not terribly expensive for me to put it on. The chemical costs about 150 bucks to go through and spray all the small trees, and I don't have to keep very many trees alive to pay for that. And because when one dies, we've got the labor of replanting, we have the cost of the seedling, so if I can keep them alive, why? And it makes me feel good. Whether it helps or not, I have no way of knowing, really. But,
and what is this anti-transparent? Like, what does it? Is it just kind of like a miracle grow for trees?
Nope. It's a polymer. The tree can go ahead and breathe, but it slows down the loss. It slows down transpiration, and it slows down water loss.
Okay. And
it closes up the stomates on the needles, and it can be. Folks have used it on flowers and bushes and stuff. Nursery people use it. It's been around for a long time, and I've probably, I don't know, 10, 15 years I've used it.
Okay.
And I'm going to spray. I've decided with the problem I had with winter burn this last year, after the holidays, we catch some nice weather. Obviously it's sprayed with water, it's mixed with water, so I can't do it when it's real cold, but I'm going to go through and I'm going to spray all the trees with anti-transparent to help get them through the winter. So I don't have a tree like that one, because somebody, I don't know why somebody hadn't cut that particular tree so close to the shed previously, but that's, keep it alive.
And what temperature will you be spraying that on? What's ideal? That time of year just above freezing, so that so my equipment doesn't freeze up. Sure. Okay.
And because it's you mix it with water, and that's I'll have to have a day when it's above freezing. But otherwise, you can spray it, and this time of year it doesn't really make too much difference. It's going to do its thing. It's kind of sticky, and the spray, it goes on and dries on, and does its thing. As far as growing the trees, they pretty much do everything on their own except we got to plant them, we got to shear them, and each tree, it takes about 10 years from the time we plant that tree until it's ready to harvest for somebody to take home for a Christmas tree. Have to spray the whole place. I did have a problem this year with some bagworms in one small area. It was probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 trees. I sprayed those. I didn't spray the rest of it because it wasn't a problem. But that's as far as insects, and occasionally we have problems with spider mites in a hot, dry summer, but the dormant oil kind of takes care of that, or it's helped since I started doing a dormant oil probably 10, 15 years ago. I haven't had to spray for spider mites, so at any rate. Okay, they're a little bitty tiny bug. You need to see them move around. You almost need a magnifying glass, unless you've got really, really, really good eyes, which I don't anymore. But and they're a sucking insect, and they suck sap out of the needles. And that spider mites work on a variety of things, but as far as the Christmas trees, why? And that's, you can tell it, you know, you need to catch it before it's real obvious looking, but the trees will get a yellowish cast and lighter green, and that's a good indication. And if left unchecked, they won't kill the tree, but it won't look good for a Christmas tree.
Okay.